And I'm gonna go ahead and screen share you guys. Right, get this presentable here. Okay. Yeah, so this has been something that's been on my mind, guys, because, like I said, I'm gonna have a baby soon. And even though um, obviously I can take a break from stuff for a while, right? I'll probably need to, and it's not like I'll want to be doing bookings right off hand when I've just had the baby and all of that. But it's still nice to kind of keep your social media going. And I know for a lot of people that do this business part-time, social media is a big thing because they're like, well, we just don't have time. We only have 30 minutes to an hour out of the week where we can even set aside the time to do anything on social media. So obviously, that's not the only way to gain clients. One of the better ways too is to actually talk with people in person. But a lot of us that do this from home, social media is one of the big things that we can leverage as well. Um, so this is something I've been looking into for myself. It's not something I've really gotten started on quite yet, but I'm still kind of going through the process of figuring out um, how I want to go about doing it. But there is a couple trainings that I've attended on this. They're actually not trainings done by the mentors here with Archer, but they're really good social media trainings. I actually purchased this program, this social media content creator platform, basically, that was supposed to really help out. But then I basically realized a lot of this I could be doing for free from Canva. So I kind of, got a refund for that and thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot otherwise and just take some of the things I've learned from this program and see if I can utilize them. Just because for a lot of you, you don't have $50 a month to spend on a social media platform. Um, as you're getting started with this. So, I'm gonna let someone else in here yet. Let's go ahead and get started. Basically, like I said, this is going to be great for you if you don't think you have time for content and you don't have time every morning to sit down and create something, right? Um, and another thing I'd like to say is it would be better to set a really good goal for yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna create 3 pieces of content each week than to do 1 piece of content 1 week, 5 pieces next week. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but it's better to be consistent with a certain amount for your followers and also for the algorithm. So, all of that, just take all of that into play, and it would be better to sit down and set a goal for yourself and say, this week I'm going to set aside an hour to sit down and create 3 to 5 pieces of content, whatever you have time for, then to just kind of leave it up to just, well, whenever I feel like it. And this is something that I've been saying to myself too, right? This is why I've looked into this, because this is something I really need to hear and to start implementing. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide and welcome Marissa as well. So step number one, you guys are going to want to define your niche, right? We're all travel advisors, okay? But what kind of travel are you looking to book for people? So um, go ahead and write down at some point, right now you can just watch through this, but write down who you are and who you help. So you're a travel advisor for what, right? I'm going to use honeymoon travel just because that's something that I book quite a bit and it's something that's easy for me to use as an example, but that's pretty broad as well. Travel advisor for honeymoon travel. You could also add like couples, young couples in there, or something like that. But for me, it's kind of couples in general. So um, anything like that. But break it down for your niche, okay? And then obviously step number 2 is going to be creating 3 content pillars around that niche. So if you were, okay, Victoria is coming in as well. If you were a travel advisor for honeymoons, you would want to create 3 content pillars around that, something that you're going to be posting around that topic. So I went to ChatGPT for this, you guys, and that's what I would suggest doing. And then I would go ahead and put a few different prompts in and see what comes up best. And I'll go over there to show you guys how that works after a while, because later on you would want to use it for some other things with your content. But, for me, when my brain is kind of just like, okay, what am I going to post today? I don't feel like I have, oops, I went too far. I don't feel like I have any inspiration for content. What am I going to do? I really, I mean, obviously AI is, some people like it, some people don't, but it's not horrible to at least get ideas from it, right? Or in my opinion, it's not. So it's up to you on that. But for me, the better you get at prompting it and telling it what it is you need, the more specific you can be, it really can give you some inspiration and then you can tweak it from there. It's not that you have to use exactly what it brings up, but it can be great when you feel really just like unmotivated and like you have no inspiration for content. So that's what I used for these pillars. Okay. So pillar number one, it's saying a luxury and romance. So if you are a travel advisor for honeymoons, it's saying this is the type of content you could be creating around that. And obviously, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, I'm probably not going to read through all of these things, but if you want to be able to look at this when you put your own niche in and just basically say, hey, this is an example of what 3 content pillars could look like. I've not practiced enough with it to know or looked into it enough to know if it would be a good idea to have more pillars than that. But I do see having 3 main ones could be good. Um, and then we'll go into captions as well, because you can get more specific with that even. Budget friendly honeymoons, romantic travel gadgets. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I might come back to this one. Okay, so there's caption categories. This one's a little more specific and easier to go off of. Your caption should focus on one of 3 things: engaging your ideal client, educating your ideal client, or selling your offer to your ideal client. So caption in this sense is basically talking about the whole description of your post. Basically, the piece that you write out, not the photo, not the video I mean, unless you are doing a reel where you're actually speaking, but this is what caption is meaning in this instance. Some caption examples would be about me. So something about you, about what you do, maybe about your services. Actually, that would probably be this category down here: showcase product or service. With the travel niche, some of this can be a little, well, what does that mean exactly? But that's where sometimes I would go to ChatGPT and be like, well, what's a good post that I can, or what's a good caption for myself as a travel advisor? I don't know if I can word this correct, in the benefits category, or, just play around with it, right? I don't have the time right now. My brain's not working to sit and think of exactly what I would prompt, but we'll go over to ChatGPT and we'll play around with it a little bit. So about me, encouragement to your social media friends, behind the scenes of what you do, maybe. Benefits, your why. So maybe why you're a travel advisor. That can, sometimes it's not as much about like, well, how can I drive people to my product on every post? Sometimes people just want to know that you're a real person and they want to know a little bit about you. It makes them feel really comfortable. And then that actually can make them want to book with you. So it doesn't always have to be selling, right? We'll go into how much you can post on actual selling, where you're driving people to your product very noticeably, and where you can just give a slight hint type of thing. So you can give personal insights, all of these things. So like I said, if you guys, I don't know if you're able to get, maybe that's better. If you can get a clear screenshot of that, feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have this as a recording, so you can always come back through and see these pages. So let's go on yet. And we'll kind of review some of this stuff after a bit. So here's the thing. So if you're posting 3 posts in a week, one of those posts should be sales focused, right? If you were posting 6 posts in a week, 2 should be sales focused. So this is what it's saying. For me, I don't think it would be horrible, especially on your travel page, maybe not on your personal profiles, but on your travel page, if you're wanting to post more than 3 in a week, let's say you're posting 4 to 5, I don't think it would be horrible for 2 of them to be like a mock booking or some sort of sales focused post. But you can use this as a general guide. I do think if you're just doing 3 posts in a week, you're staying consistent, just 3 posts in a week, because that's all you can handle, then I would probably say just one sales focused post. Um, and obviously, you know, we have Branch Up connected to our travel pages. So some of this, you know, you have to take it how you want to take it. Like you can do it how you choose, but since Branch Up is pretty much auto publishing, even though some of you probably go in and edit those posts, you can do some of your own, you know, creative posts on top of that yet. So if you want to do 3 on top of whatever you let Branch Up posts on your page, that probably isn't a bad idea. Pages can handle a lot more than like just profiles. It might seem like too much to your friends, right? Even though I utilize my profile a lot, but I don't post as much. So HIC formula, this is something that you guys can just remember when you're creating the caption for your post. Obviously here I have used ChatGPT for prompting, get good ideas for hooks and calls to action. So in a caption or in a description of a post, you need to have a hook at the top, something that grabs people's attention. In the body of the text, basically you want to have either insights, so expertise, information, etc. So if this were a sales post, you know, you want to grab their attention about the vacation that you're posting on. You want to provide that information that we usually provide in the mock bookings, and then you want the call to action at the end, obviously. And some of this is like, no duh, like a lot of us know that you want a call to action at the end, but even on all of your posts, having some type of question or getting people to engage, that can allow them to feel like connected to your content. So if you ask them something in some of your posts, especially maybe the ones that aren't sales focused as much, you'll get more comments, you'll get more interaction. And people will just feel really included and more connected to you if they're feeling like the need to answer your post, right? Especially if it's something interesting. So that's always something good to remember. It's a good reminder for me too, because sometimes it's easy to just be like, I'm just going to quickly create this content. We're out doing something. This is cool. And just create it too quickly without really giving thought to, well, what is going to allow someone to interact with this, you know? Let's go on once. So, before we go here, let's see. Let's go on and go over to ChatGPT, and then I'll come back to my presentation. So let me get out of this real quick. Okay, so here's ChatGPT. And for those of you that have not used this yet, let me go ahead and put a URL in the chat box here. Okay, give me one moment. I mean, basically, if you, for those watching the recording, then you just search chatgpt.com. Okay, and just you can create a free account if it makes you create an account. I think you can also just start using it if I'm not mistaken, but basically how it works is you're going to click the little arrow up here and you're going to create a new chat, and then you're going to basically ask it something, right? So what I would have asked for, you know, a post that I was going to create for a mock booking, I said, please write a captivating social media post hook for a Caribbean honeymoon. Now that's a very, not a super specific prompt, but you can play around with it. You can kind of start there. And if it's not turning out too great, you can tell it to either try again, give me something a little different, or you can come up with a more specific prompt, and that might help. So what it came up with was escape to paradise, calling all lovebirds. Imagine waking up to the sound of turquoise waves, basking in golden sunsets, and dancing under the stars with your soulmate. Your dream Caribbean honeymoon awaits. So that's fairly long for just the hook, like at the top of your social media post, but it's not bad. So even if off the top of your head, if you can think of something like better, or you want to prompt it a few times, that's totally fine. But this is kind of nice for ideas. And then I would have said, write a good call to action for a travel advisor trying to sell a honeymoon getaway. So the call to action is what we're talking about for the bottom of the post. So in between that, you know, y'all are used to creating regular mock bookings likely by now. You're going to put in what all the trip includes, price per person, whatever you like to put in your mock bookings. But all of that could go in between. And then you've got your call to action at the bottom. So ready to turn your honeymoon dreams into reality, book your unforgettable Caribbean escape with us today and start your journey to paradise. Contact us now for exclusive deals and personalized planning. And then you want to always put your hashtags at the end of your post, right? But regardless, this kind of gives you something to play with. Obviously, if it doesn't sound like you or you want them to make it, like you can even tell ChatGPT, okay, make the above less professional, just because sometimes depending on how it words it, you might want it to say something just a little differently. But you know what I mean? Like I don't mind how some of that sounds, but obviously you can try to make it sound a little more like you is what I'm trying to say. So if it sounds completely unlike you or just not very personal, you can ask it to give you something a little different. It also wouldn't be a bad idea, you guys, to watch a little YouTube video on how to make good chat GPT prompts, because that really can make the difference of what it gives you and how much help it is to you. And that's something that I probably need to watch myself. So you can play around with it, but it might be good just to attend a training on it as well. Let me turn my sound off here. So let's go ahead and go back to the presentation, but this is what I like to use. There's other AI platforms, and if you find one you like better, this one's just kind of a basic free one you can use. Let me go back here and present this again. So Canva. Canva is what I like to use for a lot of stuff, you guys. So when it comes down to it and you're actually wanting to sit down for 30 minutes to an hour, create that content, Canva is what I really like to use. I do use the pro version, which is I believe around $16 a month. I might be thinking of something else. 12 to 16, somewhere in there. It may not even be 16. I might be thinking of my Calendly or Zoom or something, but either way, it's not bad, but you don't have to have that to create some posts ahead, but you do have to have it in order to schedule your posts out. So if you don't want to have to come into your Canva account on the days where you're wanting it to post at an, at the same time, kind of, so let's say you sit down on a Monday afternoon or a Monday evening and you say, okay, I'm going to set aside this hour and create my content for the week. You can go into Canva and you can create a bunch of separate posts and just have them in there. They're not going to delete or go away, but you would have to go in and actually publish them from Canva every day that you're wanting them to actually post. If you have the pro version, you can actually schedule your posts to auto publish to the platforms that you want them to. And I'm going to go into Canva and kind of show around, because some of you are newer to it and some of you aren't. But yeah, and then obviously if you are creating just your captions and stuff, and later in the week you're going to be somewhere where you want to use a photo or a video, or you're creating a reel that you want to add to that caption, you can just save your caption or that part of your post as a draft and then add in that photo last minute. Okay. So it doesn't all have to be scheduled out, but in order to save time with content, it is good sometimes to just say, okay, setting a timer for an hour, I'm going to create as much as I can ahead for the next week or two, and then it's done and I don't have to worry about it. So for those that are newer though, and you do not want to pay for a Canva Pro account, it's not that you can't, get your content created ahead of time. You just might have to take a couple minutes, on the day that you want it to post, and you have to go in and you're going to have to post it, which it doesn't take long. Okay. So let me see what my next slide is. I think it's just a review. Yeah. So we're going to wait on the review and we're going to come into Canva. Okay. If you guys are having any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and I might just answer them after I finish up here. So here's Canva, right? And like I said, I pay for the pro version, but not everyone has to or does. But like I was saying, if you've created stuff ahead of time, it's going to have it down here. So it's not that it's going to go away. Okay. Well, what I usually do, so if I'm going to create a Facebook post, this is where I would start, and you can search for whatever you're wanting to create up here. Let's say it's an Instagram post and you want it to be, the correct sizing and all of that. You can just type that in and select that. So create a blank Instagram post. We'll just do that. Obviously, there's loads of templates here that come up, and you can search for, you can just search travel, and you can use a cool template, right? So anything that has to do with travel is going to come up there. All right. And you can find so many beautiful things in Canva. Like it's dependent on what you are posting or what you're talking about. You can find some really awesome things to use for your photo, but sometimes it's cool to make your post personal and more just make people feel more connected to you by using some of your own stuff. In that case, you just click on the uploads button on the left, upload files, and then it'll allow you to go to your photos and you can upload a photo of yours. Okay. So that's how you do that. And then you just drag over from your photos. Okay. All right, let's go back. Now, but what we're going to talk about here is how you're actually going to create that post ahead of time and either schedule it or just let it save. So up here, you can name each post. So if this was going to be my, let's say it's my engagement post for the week. So I'm going to use that caption category, right? Spelled that wrong. So I could name it that in case that I'm not going to schedule it out or auto publish it. For those of you that don't have Pro. And you're going to click share. So as soon as you click share, you guys, I usually go next and click share on social. And these are the options we have. So this is another reason why Canva is so awesome. Like I had been talking about, that other platform that I was going to pay $50 a month for and try using. It had these same options and nothing more. So I don't even think it had a couple of these yet. It didn't have Pinterest or Tumblr, which I'm not using those at this point. But you can auto post to Instagram, your Facebook page, Twitter, TikTok, your Facebook story, LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn page, so many things that you can auto publish to that, why pay for something if you don't have to? And this comes without the Pro version. The only thing here, you see the little crown, that means you have to have Pro to schedule them. And the scheduling is super cool. I love it. But like I said, if you don't want to spend an extra, $12 to $16 a month on this, that's totally fine. You can start by just taking the time, right? It's really doesn't take that long. So what you do is you link your pages. So if you don't have them linked, it'll prompt you to log in. So if I would click or if I would click Facebook page and nothing came up here, like it would have me actually log into my page here. And then you can always write out your caption here. So go to ChatGPT, get some ideas, write out your caption, and then you can click publish now, or if you have Pro, you can schedule it here to the day and the time and click done. And then it's scheduled out for the day or the time that you want it to actually post. What else was I going to say here? Now, if you're just creating a caption, you don't want it to auto publish or anything like that because you're going to want to add that photo in and stuff later. So that's where you might just go to your notes or somewhere else and create that caption ahead of time or create the actual wording for your post. And then you just come in and publish right away at the time you're wanting to. So it's up to you because you can set reminders and stuff like that to come back in and do it at this day, at this time. It's still saving you time to plan your content, you guys, no matter how you decide to do that. But it is really neat for those of you that do have Pro and can and have maybe the photos you need ahead of time to come in and get it all done for the week, right? Especially when you have a busy week coming up. So like I said, as soon as you're ready, share on social, choose the platform you want. I came in and I linked all of the things ahead of time that I want to be able to share directly to. And so one thing you can't do is select Instagram, your Facebook page, Facebook story, LinkedIn page all at one time to do the same post all at one time. But the platform I was going to pay $50 with, you couldn't either. You had to go to each one and and schedule or publish. So at least they're connected and right here though, right? You don't have to go over to each social media platform and try to upload the photo and then copy and paste your caption. You can just do it right from here. So you do have to do each one separate, but like I said, if you can do it ahead of time, this can save you a lot of time. So let's go back actually, guys. And if you have questions, we can come back on here to learn a little more about Canva, but I'm going to go back to my, my presentation here so I can look at this review. So social media plan review, step one, you're going to choose step one should have been identify your niche, right? But a lot of you maybe know what you're already been creating content around. So we're going to just say step one is choose 3 content pillars around your niche. Step 2, create 3 posts or whatever amount you choose per week, 1 post in each pillar. Okay. Step number 3, use the HIC formula to write each caption or description. Step number 4, select a focus for each caption, so engagement, education, or sales. Step 5, add any reel, photo, or carousel to your caption before publishing. Carousels, there's something you create with Instagram, so that would be specific to Instagram. But reels, photos, videos, all of that can be done elsewhere. And one thing that is cool though about Canva having, I'm going to go back again. Canva having you post separately to each platform is you might want to switch up the wording a little bit depending on where you're posting it to. So I know something like Twitter, which I'm new to, they only allow such a certain length of description unless you're paying for a version of Twitter, I believe. And so obviously, you know, if you're going to post the same post onto Twitter, when you come in here, you're probably going to want to edit that caption a little bit first. Okay. So there's all of that comes into play. Depending on the platform, you might want to switch it up. So that's kind of cool. It almost does need to be done separately, right? And then Facebook stories, you're just going to upload a photo most likely. Okay. So there's all of that you can take into play. I'm not sure how Facebook story works. Okay, you have to do that from your mobile app. I didn't think that really connected straight from here. So I can't do it from my laptop anyway. But stories are something you might want to post more than one thing randomly per day. That doesn't have to be maybe as specific to like, I'm going to do that on this day or this day or this day. I mean, you can put a Facebook story on kind of whenever. But stories are something good to be posting as well. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. Obviously, if you wanted to get any more photos of that presentation, you can, or I mean, like I said, I'm going to give out a recording of it as well. Let me go back a little bit. So your HIC formula, hook, insights, call to action, that's always something good to include in your descriptions. And then deciding, you know, setting that goal per week of how many posts you're going to be doing per week, just so that it keeps you consistent, because a lot of people get burnt out. If they try to do 6 posts a week or even 5 posts a week, it could be too much for some people to get done. It would be better to stick to 3 to 4, or I mean, only 2 if that's all you can handle at the time. But obviously the more the better. But there can be a point where it's too much too, and then it gets to be either sloppy or you just don't keep up with it. So it'd be better to be a consistent 3 to 4 and actually do that every week, than to get burnout and do like 1 week and then 5 another week, right? So kind of going over what I already talked about. Captions, you know, these were the ideas that came that from the presentation that I had watched. So they're not my own ideas. Like I said, some of this stuff you can kind of go to ChatGPT for and be like, you know, what are some good captions for a travel advisor? You know, what kind of captions should I be using as a content creator, as a travel advisor and content creator? So they might give you some better ideas dependent, but these are kind of good things to base your content off of. And then obviously using this, engaging your ideal client, educating, or selling. So those are really good things to use. I almost like this more than what was the other thing? I don't know what I was gonna say. Well, more than using just like these pillars are pretty unspecific. So, or I mean, they're pretty specific, I should say, actually. Almost the opposite of I almost like the idea of using these caption categories more than using these pillars in a way. But they're all ideas, right? So yeah, the step 1 would have been defining your niche, who you are and who you help. So you'll want to go ahead and get that written down. Go into step 2, creating your content pillars. And then the caption, categories kind of fall under the pillars as well. Deciding how much you're going to post per week. Always following this when you're creating your captions or descriptions. I like to use Canva. If you have another platform that works the same way or allows you to create content ahead and save it, feel free. But Canva gives a lot, even just with the free version of Canva. And honestly, guys, this is kind of the review, but if there's any questions, let me know. Otherwise, and I can also stop the recording if you have just another random question, not around this. But feel free to unmute as well. Go ahead.